Well, good morning. Welcome back to another episode of Stand on Guard. It's Sunday, September 22nd, 2024. The world is still with us. We had some excitement in the Middle East yesterday. We're going to be talking about how twisted things can be in Canada and when we come back.
So we are in a very precarious position in this country. We need political change, but we also need the resolve to resist.
Yes, please like the station, hit the like button, smash the like button. You do it early in the broadcast, it helps beat YouTube suppression, which we get here big time. Every time we talk about policies and not just the usual, yes, we all can't stand Justin Trudeau and show protest, that we try to rise above the ad hominem insults here. I know that's why you're tuning in because I want to talk about twisted today. What do I mean? I don't mean twisted sister. I mean, what's twisted today in Canadian politics? There's a lot we could start with, but just a couple of things. And by the way, thank you for those of you who watched yesterday's episode all about the bubble zone because nobody else is reporting it. Nobody else is even talking about it. This is so far pretty exclusive. But I tell you, all the indications are there from cabinet ministers, from MPs, from the NDP leader that the bubble zone is coming to keep pesky independent reporters or new media reporters, especially those average Canadians that people like Jagmeet Singh claim to identify with, away from the House of Commons, probably across the street on the side or on the sidewalk, behind that wrought iron fence that's in front of Parliament Hill. Yeah, that's where these people are going to be banished to, probably, or very least 100 feet. Maybe they can go as far as eternal flame, which, by the way, was out the other day. What is it with the eternal flame now? Because it's interesting. This, of course, was inspired by the eternal flame at Arlington Cemetery for the slain John F. Kennedy. And we lit that flame in 1967 on the centennial of Confederation. It was a big deal. No, I don't know. I don't remember it. I'm not that old, but I do remember walking past Parliament Hill in the dead of winter. Well, certainly in February during the Freedom Convoy, and that eternal flame was always there. It was a source of hope and literal warmth at times. Why was it out? Why is it out right now? It was out the other day during the Million Person March, and I find that very, very peculiar. But the bubble zone is coming. If you haven't had a chance to watch yesterday's episode, recommend it to your friends and family because I'm getting this on fairly good authority that this is coming. And the Parliamentary Press Gallery is apparently aware of it coming. So I will keep you posted as to when this is actually going to happen. But I can see this happening very easily in this atmosphere of censorship we have right now. Trudeau is censoring everything and everybody. And we've got now, of course, they've got the added ammunition that if you disagree with the government, especially on the war in Ukraine, if you want peace for Ukrainians so they stop being sacrificed for the military industrial complex, that somehow makes you a Russian agent. Well, I have Ukrainian lineage on my father's side, and I grew up with my Ukrainian uncles and my father's Ukrainian uncles. I have great respect for the history of Ukraine, the heritage of Ukraine, and what that what that people went through under communism. But for God's sake, there won't be a Ukraine if this war continues, and I'll leave it at that because, and that to me is twisted. But you know what's even more twisted? I discovered this the other day. I've been dying to talk about it every day. Holly Doan of Blacklock's report, excellent journal, excellent journalism, fantastic reporter. And she broke the story, and nobody is talking about it. Nobody. Cabinet continues to send foreign aid to China. New records show. Yeah. Canada has detailed millions in aid underfund to promote LGBTQ rights. Now, do you believe this? Now, I've reported in the past, and I've written a couple of stories on this for the Post Millennial about how we have this multi-million-dollar LGBTQ fund, which is essentially used in Canada to silence parents who are opposed to gender ideology in the schools or want their kids not to participate in the annual gay pride flag raising ceremony, or don't want indoctrination in the classrooms, or are opposed to some of the graphic sex education that's being offered to very young students, very age inappropriate. Most reasonable people would agree with that. And no, we don't want to expose kids, like at 9, 10 years old to some of this material. It's just sick. It's just not what you want to show children. But the LGBTQ fund is also being used to send aid to China. Here it is. This is the story. I encourage you to have a look at it. You know what the irony of this is? Why is this really twisted? Because China doesn't promote LGBTQ rights. China actually has an agenda that says our children in the classroom should be taught how to add, subtract, multiply, and divide. They should be taught how to do algebra, how to do trigonometry. They should be taught how to read. They should be taught history. They should be taught geography, geometry. They should be taught the subjects that are actually going to help them in life. They should not be taught a lot of sexual indoctrination. They should not be sexualized. That's China's policy in the schools. Yes, I know there's a lot of communist indoctrination, but they don't spend a lot of time doing the sexuality stuff. So, what does Canada think it's going to achieve by giving China money to do this? Obviously, China's pocketing the money and saying, "Thank you very much, Mr. Trudeau. Keep sending the money, and we'll keep influencing Canadian elections for you." It is a horrible scam. Just as Trudeau pretends, "Oh, I'm just so outraged to discover China's interfering in Canadian elections." Then, of course, his line went to, "Well, as soon as we realized China was interfering in Canadian elections, the Liberal government did something about it. We took immediate action." It's, of course, all balderdash. China has influence in Canadian elections or influencing Liberal Party nomination races. They're pouring money in. And of course, we are not going to learn about those agents, emissaries, probably of China, but of foreign agents that are sitting in the House of Commons, perhaps even in the Senate. But let's face it, it's even more outrageous if they're sitting in the House of Commons. Not a word spoken last week about that. There was a very, I don't want to say silent protest, but a quiet protest outside the House of Commons last week by people saying, "Are we going to talk about this issue again, or is it going to be swept under the carpet?" And of course, it looks like it's going to be swept under the carpet. Nobody wants to talk about it, including the official opposition. No, they don't want to talk about this at all. I find that really, really outrageous. What else is twisted about your country this week? Well, we're going to have a non-confidence vote this week. There's going to be debate on it Tuesday, and there's going to be a vote Wednesday. The official opposition is going to raise the is going to bring forth the motion. We already know that it's going to be held up. It's going to be stopped, not just by the Liberal minority, but by their friends in the separatist Bloc Québécois and the socialist NDP. And of course, Jagmeet Singh is pretending now that, well, he does. It's not that he wants to prop up Trudeau. It's that he doesn't want to look like he's supporting Poilievre, even though and for the last couple of weeks, he's been basically responding to everything Pierre Poilievre tells him to do. But that was all about winning a by-election, wasn't it? We'll get to that in a minute. But here's really what just teased me off is this. Oh, Blanchette, the Bloc Québécois leader, just this is all that needs to be said. But I'll say a bit more. But listen to
propping nobody up. Et en français aussi, là, soutenir les libéraux. Je ne soutiens pas les libéraux.
I'm not propping up the liberals. I'm voting against the conservatives, and I will always endorse the interests of Quebecers.
I go against the conservatives on a vote that is only about Pierre Poilievre and his huge ambition for himself. I support the interests of Quebecers if those interests are also good for Canadians. So far, so good. And I also support the idea of independence for Quebec.
Look at this petty man, this petty politician. He's there to support the independence of Quebec. Why is this dunderhead, this pinhead, standing in the way of Canada? Why is he dictating what the future of Canada is? Why is he allowed to do that? I have said this repeatedly. What the hell is the Bloc Québécois sitting in the House of Commons for anyway? It's time to amend the Elections Act so that you can't run for a federal seat in the House of Commons unless your party is dedicated to Canada and Canadian unity. You cannot run if you are a separatist party. You don't belong in the House of Commons. Maybe you belong in the Quebec legislature. Maybe you belong on the street someplace, but you don't belong in the House of Commons because you're not fighting for Canada, and that's what the House of Commons represents. Canada, not Quebec, Canada. And this dunderhead just thinks he has the right to sit there, collect a paycheck from the Canadian taxpayers, and then get a nice, huge pension from Canadian taxpayers while he spent his career destroying Canada, trying to break the country up, being a separatist, being the head of a traitorous party. I'll call it a traitorous party. That's what it is. It's a treasonous party. And this is an outrage. And in the Elections Act in Canada, it should be amended so this doesn't continue. These idiots have been there for 30 years now. I remember when they came in 1993. They formed the official opposition in 1993. And we still have these people coming back election after election, just sowing discord and dissent, trying to break the country up. And the answer is not to have a whole bunch of other separatist parties sit in the House of Commons. I've heard people say, well, Alberta needs to have the Alberta Bloc Party. And that's foolishness because all that's going to do is split the small C conservative vote in Alberta or in British Columbia or in Saskatchewan, if the case may be, as the case may be. And it's just going to make the Liberal Party stronger. So that's not the answer. The answer is to have parties in the House of Commons that are attuned to Canadian unity or fighting for Canada one way or the other. That's what the House of Commons was. During the pre-U.S. Civil War days, there were a number of congressmen and senators who were secessionists. When the South declared that it was seceding from the Union, what did they do? Say, hey, we're going to stay here in the Senate. We're going to stay here in the House of Representatives and fight for We're going to fight for secession. And that's what the Bloc is. It's a secessionist party. Secesh. No, they said, no, we're going to resign our seats and go south and serve with the Confederate States. That's what they decided to do, because at least they had the intellectual honesty to understand you can't have your cake and eat it too. That's why it's twisted, because the Bloc thinks they can have it both ways. They can get paid by Canadians, they can get a pension from Canadians, but yet they can be in the House of Commons to break the country up and just to look after the interest of Quebecers. Now, this is outrageous. And this is not aimed at good Quebecers. The leader of the People's Party of Canada is from Quebec, and he's a close friend of mine. I have so many good friends from Quebec who are conservative minded, who are libertarian minded, who fight for freedom. This is about people who have a separatist party. That's where my wrath is aimed. And that's what I'm talking about. But of course, the NDP is so much to blame for this. And we'll just listen to Pierre Poilievre describe the situation here.
Jagmeet Singh has done it again. First, Singh sold out the people of Canada to sign on to a costly carbon tax coalition that taxed your food, doubled your housing costs, punished your work, and unleashed crime in your community. But then, on the eve of losing a by-election in a Winnipeg NDP stronghold, he went to Winnipeggers and he looked them in the eye. He said he had torn up the carbon tax coalition. Well, as soon as the votes were counted and he no longer needed the people of Winnipeg, he betrayed them. He taped back together the carbon tax coalition agreement and he sold them out again. It was a big Hollywood production in which he announced the end to the carbon tax coalition, but it was all a lie. Jagmeet Singh is a fake, a phony, a fraud, and a liar. And the people of Canada cannot trust anything that he says going forward.
Now stay tuned because I've got some video that demonstrates just how detached Jagmeet Singh is from reality. No, I'm not going to show the video again of him almost coming to blows with that protester. You've seen that enough times. I've got some other video that shows how much he really cares for average Canadians. So stay tuned for that because this is fascinating. But of course, what's the other thing that's twisted about Canada? Carbon tax. The latest hike, it's going to mean more gouging. And it's not the gas companies, this is called Liberal Party gouging. This is called Trudeau government gouging at the pumps as they continue to enforce a useless carbon tax that does nothing to lower greenhouse gas emissions. If you want to believe that this has a direct correlation to climate change, go ahead, believe that. But you also must acknowledge that Trudeau's carbon tax is completely ineffective in reducing those greenhouse gas emissions because we still need to do the same things we've always done with fossil fuels. And secondly, carbon is not a pollution. And these dunderheads in the mainstream media, as well as in the political parties, who say carbon is a pollution. You see these people, they don't even think about what they're saying or what they're writing. They just parrot the talking points. Carbon is not a pollution. But listen to this.
According to a document just released, the government's second carbon tax will cost $9 billion in lost GDP. Why won't we have a carbon tax election to decide?
All know why the Conservatives are so panicked about it. They can see that the economic news is good. They can see that we are now back to exactly where we were before COVID hit.
The bad news is we now have 1,800 homeless encampments in Ontario, 35 in Halifax alone, 2 million Canadians lined up at food banks after 9 years of NDP Liberal government. And now that we learn that on top of the $25 billion annual hit of the first carbon tax to our GDP, the second carbon tax will subtract another $9 billion a year, over $35 billion in lost GDP. That's almost $2,000 per family. Why won't this costly NDP Liberal government allow Canadians to vote on the carbon?
Because they want us to suffer, Pierre. That's the answer. You know the answer as well as I do. That's what's going on here. So I can see we're being horribly suppressed this morning. What is it? Sunday morning? Nobody up yet? No, I don't know. It's the suppression from YouTube is outrageous. It's outrageous. When I was at the million person march the other day, uh, somebody said, your station is almost at 30,000 subscribers. And I said, yes, thank God we're moving upwards because of so many people who care. And somebody from the crowd said it should be at 100,000, but it's not because YouTube suppresses what you're doing. Yeah, everybody knows what's going on here. They know you want to show video of people just swearing at Justin Trudeau. YouTube loves that. YouTube loves that because they say, hey, you want to show crazy videos about Justin Trudeau supposedly dying of a fatal disease, totally made up nonsense like that, or that Justin Trudeau is going to jail. Yeah, YouTube loves that because it helps them establish the case that new media, independent media, is not telling the truth. And it plays right into the hands of the Liberals and Justin Trudeau when people do that. When you post exaggerated stories or outright lies, the Liberal Party loves it. Justin Trudeau loves it. It plays right into his hands. He can say, that's the kind of stuff we're getting from independent media. People saying that I have some sort of fatal disease or that I'm going to jail or that the government is collapsing today. So you tell the truth, YouTube does not want to help out. This is a great video here from Dacey Media. Thank you, Chris Dacey. He does some great work. This is a guy who goes to just about every protest in Ottawa, at least coming from a populist perspective, records it, puts it up on X and other social media, and he's there when nobody else is there or can be there. And I thank him very much that I'm using this video. I think it might have been used by another outlet in the last day or so. I'm not sure. I should have put this up yesterday. I just ran out of time. But this is absolutely fascinating. You want to know who the real Jagmeet Singh is? What is this guy like? The other day you saw him almost come to blows with a protester who sort of dared to question his integrity. He almost came to blows with Pierre Poilievre on the floor of the House of Commons. It's a guy who has an anger management problem. So how does he respond when people come up to him and are almost just overly polite? Mr. Singh, can I have a minute of your precious time? Singh just kind of ignores them. Like, excuse me, do you realize you're talking to the great man of the NDP, the man who is going to be the next Prime Minister of Canada? Do you understand that I'm going to be the next Prime Minister? And just please get that into your head and stop bothering me. This is a classic moment with our Jagmeet Singh.
Singh, how are you? Can I ask you something? Why did you not turn down the $10,000 raise that you guys all got on the same day that our taxes all increased? So why don't you take that $10,000? I'm sure you were the last group in this country that needed a raise, and give it to the people who truly do need it. Well, why don't you take your $10,000 and give it to some of the people? Like, why wouldn't you But you didn't need that $10,000 from the Canadian people.
What about the people who are suffering because of vaccine mandates, sir? What about those people? Are they just forgotten? Do they not matter? Why did you support mandates for COVID-19 vaccines when there's no evidence that they stop the spread or they do anything to protect our community, sir?
I just have to pause here and say, what in the hell is he riding here? This is a bicycle. I mean, it looks like he's got like a box the size of a grocery cart planted on the front of the bike. I've never seen anything quite so bizarre.
My sons actually died because of the lockdowns. I spent thousands and thousands of dollars on one treatment center alone in Kingston, Ontario. I spent $18,000 for my oldest son. Pardon? I gotta pick up my daughter, that's why my mom can go that's fine.
It's just beautiful. Well, I mean, it's tragic. This woman describing her her healthcare problems, which of course, how many times did Jagmeet Singh says I'm going to fight the Conservatives because they aren't supporting our beautiful healthcare system in Canada, which of course is a complete misnomer. We have one of the worst healthcare systems in the world. Wait times are atrocious. It's not free. We spend thousands of dollars individually on taxes to keep this Medicare system going. Half the people in Ontario can't even find a doctor. You're waiting in line all day in emergency. You want an operation like a hip replacement surgery, you're waiting 6 months. But Jagmeet thinks it's a great system and he wants to keep supporting it. But does he give a damn about what this lady's saying? No.
And after all of that, and I did that for both of my sons. They were both working. My oldest son was on his third division in scaffolding, working a full-time job, home every night. These lockdowns came, they both lost their jobs. The medicine iboga that they were using was made illegal by this here government.
Where were they living?
In Calgary, Cochrane, Alberta. That's where we were living.
The lockdown from the Conservative government there?
Yes, and our federal government. You know, when my sons died...
Was it JCW units, the union at that time?
I can't remember. It turned over so... But you know, when my sons died, I got a half an hour viewing. I couldn't have a funeral. But yet, when the Queen's husband died in England,
Sir, you're
our
not a sworn
Prime
peace
Minister...
officer, so please
trying to go home.
Okay, but just don't block me with your bicycle. Just don't block me.
They had
Okay,
a
don't block
great
me with
big
your
party.
bicycle.
I couldn't
Don't block
have
me
a
with your bicycle,
funeral for
thank you.
my children.
Don't block the great man's bicycle with his humongous box on the front. How does he even navigate down the road with that thing in the way?
You've pushed me more than once.
We know you're in a rush, sir, but
No, he was blocked. I have a
He's Parliament security idiot.
And you know what the real pandemic is into this here country? It's drugs.
That is a classic Canadian moment of how apathetic the NDP is, how apathetic Jagmeet Singh is about when he meets a real Canadian. Oh, you're an average Canadian. You're an ordinary Canadian. But I'm fighting for you. I'm fighting for you so hard. I'm just going to say thank you very much. Get out of my way. I'm going to ride off with my stupid-looking bicycle with the with the basket on front. Bye bye. That is the real Jagmeet Singh. You know, and I've seen other NDP leaders in the past, when they're confronted by homeless people on the streets, they walk across the street because they don't want to talk to them. They don't want to be seen with these great unwashed. Yeah, we're fighting hard for you, buddy, but don't get in the picture with me, please. And don't contaminate my space. And this attitude here is, why is this lady bothering to talk to me? Doesn't she realize I've got more important things to do, like fight for ordinary Canadians? It is just delusional. This man does not understand how stupid he looks. This is a corporate lawyer. This is a man with the Versace accessories, the BMW car, the personal wealth that this woman will never know. And yet he's got the nerve to just snub his nose at her. And this is astounding. I have some good news, though. Let's end with some good news today. I know I'm going over time. Jesse Johnson. You remember Jesse Johnson? Pizzas without papers? Without papers pizza? Yeah. Everything dismissed. Everything dismissed. He was guilty of violating the Calgary's COVID passport law. Let's listen. Jesse's going to take the city to court now.
On pursuing a civil suit, yes. It is a bittersweet irony what happened here today. My restaurant was shut unadjudicated. I was deemed guilty without going to a court of law. They shut a man's business down of 20 years, 2 families that depended on that. 30 people that were employed by it, the millions of dollars in taxes that I collected every year because I did what? Because I chose to accept all and to extend my love to all the fine people of Calgary. A travesty of justice is what occurred. Really, truly a shame, a grotesque perversion of hospitality. And I hope and pray that my brothers and the sisters in the restaurant industry will stand up in the future and refuse to discriminate any of their customers for any reason whatsoever. It was truly a shame what happened to the hospitality industry.
Has it been a difficult 2 years for you?
It's the most difficult experience of my life. These bastards, they literally tried to break me. They tried to break me financially, they tried to break me mentally, and they tried to break me spiritually, and they almost came close. If it wasn't for the good people that joined me here today, the many who I fought with on the streets of Calgary, in the prairies at Coots, in Winnipeg, all across Canada, the millions who rose up to defend our rights and freedoms in this great, great land, we need to pray to Jesus Christ to offer us forgiveness and to give us the light to fight further into the future.
What is your message to people who are still fighting against these charges, against the government? The government is still going after them.
Never give up hope. Never give up hope. And believe in yourself. One thing I've learned across this journey is that the power of the human spirit is indomitable. And if there's a mountain in front of me, that mountain shall move.
That, of course, was Media Bezergan, excuse me. Great reporting. Great reporting. That is inspirational. This guy is saying, these bastards tried to break me. There's an evangelical Christian saying that, by the way, because he's mad. But he's mad because he lost 2 years of his life to lawfare, fighting a completely stupid piece of legislation from the incredibly insane Calgary city government. Lost 2 years of his life fighting it, but he's victorious now. And now he says, "Oh, I'm going to get you people for what you did to me, because you took 2 years of my life away fighting this. Well, let's see how you like it now." That's the good news. I know I went a little overtime today. Thanks for your indulgence. Thanks for watching today. I'm back again tomorrow. It's Monday. The house is open again, and it's going to be an exciting week. Hope and pray that the NDP and the Bloc have a change of heart, that they can see that they're supporting Justin Trudeau, that they are in Justin Trudeau's pocket, that they're lying to themselves and they're lying to Canadians. Hope and pray that revelation becomes apparent to these jokers. I'm going to church today. I hope you do too. Billy Graham used to always say, go to church on Sunday. Well, go to church. And if your preference is a synagogue or a mosque or a temple, do that too, while you still can, while we still have freedom of religion and freedom of speech in this country. Because Justin Trudeau wants to take both of those away, believe me. Thank you for watching. I'll be back tomorrow with all the news.